The Calgary Flames finally took to the ice for their first preseason game on Sunday night, and let's just say no one expected this result. The Flames didn't ice anywhere near their actual NHL team against a Kraken team that essentially did, and yet they demolished them. Which does beg a couple of questions. Should the league just hand the Stanley Cup to the Calgary Flames right now? And who gave themselves a good chance of making the team? We're going to get into all that and more in this video. But first, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I am Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And I already asked this question, but I mean, come on. Should the league just give us the cup? They really should just give us the cup. I'm looking at you, Mr. Gary Bettman. Give us the cup, because in case you missed it, well, we had a 6-1 victory in the first preseason game, which is honestly pretty shocking. You know, 6-1 is a huge score, and everyone right away is going to say, well, it's just the preseason. Guess what? You're right. It is just the preseason. There have been Flames teams in the past that have excelled in the preseason, and look how things go. We all remember Milano on the Flames in the preseason a few years ago, and then the Flames cut him. But either way, what makes this so interesting and why no one expected this is because the Flames didn't play anywhere near what their actual NHL squad is going to look like. They sent out, let's just say, a good Wranglers team out to Seattle. There were some guys who will most likely be on the Flames come October. And, it's interesting because Seattle played a lot of their big guns. Did they play all of them? No, there was no Beniers. There was no Montour, some of the really good players. But they played a lot of their actual Kraken players, not just the ones who played down in the AHL. And yet the Flames still kind of dominated. And if we take a quick look at how the goaltending went, Dustin Wolf, man, can he sure stop some pucks. He faced 34 shots. He played the whole game, made 33 saves for a .971 save percentage. Ooh la la, that is nice to see. Just the one goal against. You look at Grubauer, he didn't do so good at all, nowhere near putting up Dustin Wolf numbers. He didn't end up playing the whole game, but either way, super, super interesting here that Wolf once again is showing that he can get it done. And that's the first, real knock on this challenge that's going on between some of these goaltenders to see who will take the #1 spot. Dustin Wolf, boy, did he sure show that he wants that #1 spot. And after a performance like that against a team that's actually somewhat of an NHL team, not too bad at all. If we take a look at the box score, these were all the players who did get points for the Flames last night. So as you can see there, a lot of them chipped in. We saw Klapka get a couple of goals. Holy, is he just a phenomenal hockey player. He will definitely see some NHL minutes this year. Coronado, who has to perform well in this preseason. A goal and 2 assists already is phenomenal to see. We saw a healthy Poirier put up a goal and an assist, which is so nice to see. Clark Bishop putting up a goal and an assist. We saw Martin Furt with that laser of a shot. He also ended up getting a goal. We saw Sammy Honzek get a couple assists. Bruce Stevich get a couple assists. We got Bean and Pahal, who are supposed to be kind of in that NHL realm come October. They both got on the score sheet, and Dryden Hunt as well, getting the 1 assist. So nice to see. If we take a look at the guys who didn't get any points, you got Schwint, Rooney, Grushnikov, Morton, Stromgren, Perek, and Gradin. In any way, did they play bad? No, they didn't. They just weren't able to get on the score sheet. And there's one name I purposely didn't say yet. And as you can see, the one at the bottom, he's the only man who did not have, or who was a minus in the plus-minus in a 6-1 game. And it was a man who has to perform well in this preseason if he wants a future with this franchise, especially at the NHL level, of course. But Jacob Pelche, the -1 on the night in a 6-1 win, it's not good looks for him. Did he play bad? No, but I'm just saying, if it comes down to, who kind of outperformed who statistically, this is a bad start for Pelche. We've seen guys who are kind of fringe on the spot, looking really for one of those forward roster spots. Klapka, Coronado, they took advantage so far in this first game. I know it's just one game and it's just one preseason game, but Pelche has got to step it up if he wants to crack the squad out of training camp. That was pretty much that game, but there are more takeaways, and these ones don't necessarily come from me. They come from good old Daniel Austin of the Calgary Herald. So all credit due to him for this article we're going to take a look at, but I completely agree with what he said. So 3 takeaways from the Flames' emphatic 6-1 win over the Kraken. If only we could say that, this was in the Western Conference Final. No, it was game 1 of the preseason. But either way, this one comes from Daniel Austin. So the first takeaway is that Coronado makes his case. The Flames have a good bit of depth on the wings heading into the season, and head coach Ryan Huska has been pretty clear that a guy like Coronado needs to outplay the competition if he wants an NHL job. On Sunday, the second-year winger started making his case. He's going to have to make himself indispensable if he's going to win a job, and he might have been the best player on the ice for a seriously undermanned Flames team. He seemed to lead the Flames last night, which is just amazing to see. Coronado scored the Flames' second goal of the game, which ended up being the game winner, of course, and then set up Poirier with a ridiculous backhand saucer pass to make it 4-0. He added another helper, too. I seriously recommend going and watching the highlights. If you haven't yet, it'll fire you up as a Flames fan. Coronado had a strong training camp last year and played well in the Flames exhibition games, too, but it didn't necessarily translate into a productive regular season. That makes it hard to tell exactly what he needs to do over the next few weeks to beat out veterans on the wing. If he continues to score and, just produce points, have great stats, but also just play super well, like he looked like he really did belong out there last night, that's what he needs to do. And I think at the very least, he'll have the same opportunity he did last season where he did crack the squad out of training camp, out of the preseason. And it seemed like he was, well on his way to becoming the player we do still expect him to be. He is still young, but hopefully he can develop. And this was step 1, and boy, did he ever do a good job. The next takeaway here is that Klapka is unmissable. There are a number of guys we could highlight here. Clark Bishop opened the scoring for the Flames and is still a dark horse to wind up getting 4th line playing time this year. Will that happen out of training camp, out of the preseason? Probably not, but maybe at some point he will get some NHL minutes. Sam Honzek had 2 assists and looked much more confident at this level than he did a year ago. 100% true. He's a guy who should, probably just be on the Wranglers all year. Given the right opportunity, maybe he will come up to the Flames, and I know that would fire a lot of people up. I would love to see it, but maybe, just maybe, ensure that he plays a whole season at the AHL level first. And then Artem Grushnikov got in a fight and had an edge to his game all night. He was a bruiser out there, did play very, very well. Klapka had a game that makes you wonder what we're going to see from him this year. Yes, he scored twice and threw a few big hits, but he also just generally imposed himself on the game. On a second goal, he accelerated into the defensive zone to break up a Berkeley Catton breakaway, and then just a few seconds later, he was burying a rebound on the other end. Impressive stuff, and the type of performance that was impossible to ignore. So once again, Adam Klapka, we saw how good he was at the end of last season. His goal at the NHL level was an absolute stunner, and yesterday he played an absolute stunner for a guy who looks like an absolute stunner. Klapka is showing that he wants to come up. He kind of reminds me a bit of Adam Ruzicka before he obviously went off the rails a little bit, but just they play a somewhat similar game, but I would almost argue that Klapka might be better and just is a better 200-foot player. So Klapka was unmissable last night. He is definitely vying for one of those NHL spots. Now, if we take a look at the last takeaway here, it is this one. Wolf on point, of course. Dustin Wolf stopped 33 of 34 shots he faced on Sunday and looked sharper than you expect from a guy who hasn't played a competitive game in 5 months. The starting goalie job won't be won in one night. Wolf and Dan Vladar are going to be competing for playing time throughout training camp and even into the regular season. But based on this extremely small sample size, Wolf is picking up right where he left off last spring. He looks good. He looks sharp. We know it's just the preseason and this ongoing goalie battle will continue, but Wolfie is showing that he really does have it, and hopefully that will obviously translate into good development and one day being just an absolute stalwart NHL goaltender. Give him the Vezina as well if you're already going to give the Flames the cup. Let's wrap this one up with the comment of the day, as we love to do, and we've got a bit of a longer one here, but I did like what was said. It was about Tyson Barrie from Ryan Huska's comments from last week, but it comes from Snow Mammoth, and they said he's a perfect fit, good culture guy. He adds offense that our blue line is lacking and will factor in there and help overall team scoring, but also we know he's not great defensively and move the needle any further, which is exactly what this team is going to be. So more the merrier, I say. If we are not going to be one of the better teams in the league and lose more often than not, I'd rather see high-scoring games. Barrie adds exactly that. Couldn't agree more. I would love to see Barrie on the Flames this year, helping out the scoring. Maybe that means the other team scores a little more. At least it's exciting hockey and could get some butts in seats. I completely agree with you there, Snow Mammoth. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.